Democracy is messy.
Yeah, I'll definitely take a look at that. See if I can't get that up for us.
Yeah,
And
no worries.
before that, I guess one of the things we were gonna do is we were gonna show. Now, one of the shows the show we had planned when that Nis was going to lead us on was about democratic narratives and some of the narratives that have gone around. We saw about like the violence in Vegas, and I think Nina Turner says some great things, and that there's some also it's just some great. I just love me some Nina Turner. It was absolutely great footage of her, so I'm very thankful for that. And so I just really want to play it. So if you want to give us a little bit more background on what we're going to see, and then
Sure, I'll just
get that prep.
set it up real quick. Well, we found out about this event. You know, these events are coming real quick. We found out about this event late on Sunday or early on Sunday morning, and so I was able to make it down there. And Benjamin actually, he knows Nina, so he let her know I was coming. So I was able to say hi to her, although she was off to catch a plane. They were running late to begin with, but it was a really good forum. It was a lot smaller crowd, but engaged. The students were very engaged, and a couple of really good questions. And one of the questions was from a student who was at the Nevada caucus, and he wanted basically to know, if it is rigged, is what we're seeing really true? And Nina, of course, was there at the caucus, and she basically talks about what came of in the full video you can see on my channel. She talks about being there and her whole experience. But in this segment, she talks about the narrative that comes out over the media, and that specifically with the chair throwing, the violence, and what has been basically playing throughout since the event, none of which took place. And it was just blown up and as gasoline thrown on a fire with Barbara Boxer. So this is Nina talking about that narrative. And also Rosario Dawson talks about the general media narrative and how it's been a long-term thing. And it's really a very poignant and very strong point. So those are these two clips.
All right, here we go.
Turns out there were no chairs thrown. As Rosario indicated, a man picked up the chair. He was a little bit emotional. Somebody put the chair down and they hugged it out. That's the truth. Now, somebody did leave vicious voicemail messages on the phone of Chairwoman Roberta Lane, which is wrong. Wrong is cowardice. You don't threaten people. You don't threaten their family. You don't do that kind of stuff. Senator Sanders disavowed all of that stuff. He's been saying all along on the campaign trail, violence is not acceptable. He said, I want people to exercise their First Amendment right, but I want you to allow other people to speak. But I'm going to tell you what I said on national TV. He's not grown folks' daddy, okay? He got their father. So he don't control how grown folks respond in a certain situation. And so what really took me over the top, can I just be honest? What really sent us over the top, was the fact that Chairwoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz automatically took the side of the Nevada Democratic Party that really exaggerated, I think, to cover their own behind. That's exactly what they did. They were not fair in that situation, and it was a gross exaggeration in terms of how Senator Sanders supporters did respond in that room, and then it was a gross exaggeration in terms of all of us. I hope we're winning some people over, but those of us who do support Senator Sanders, and it really just reminded me that in some ways what we believe is happening is happening. That chairwoman of that party, of the Nevada party, should not have shown bias in that room, but she did. And we as Democrats somehow don't have the courage to call it out. It was real. That booing is not violent, but shooting up somebody's office is. That we don't know whoever left those vile messages against Chairwoman Lang, as much as I disagree with how she handled that room, they may or may not have been supporters of Bernie Sanders. Anybody can pick up the phone and talk smack. We don't know who it is.
Creating a narrative, right? Because what it does is it swallows up our time and our energy to talk about that rather than what actually happened. That frustrated people who stood online for so long, who stood in there for so long, not having access to food, people getting turned away because they had switched registrations and all types of things so that they can get away with not being investigated into. And that's what we have to stay vigilant into. You know, when things like this happen, my dad's very cynical, and And any single time something would happen on the news and they'd be playing it over and over again, you go, I wonder what's really happening. And I'm seeing it, I'm parroting network to network to network, this trivial thing, and sometimes even big things like the bathroom law, but it's like, what else is happening right now? That is being like this huge narrative, because there's major things with the Panama Papers and people like the PM resigning from Iceland after 3 days of protest because his name appearing on that, and the Panama Papers. Like there's revolt that's gone on, the Egyptian uprising, there's stuff, Occupy movement, people marching to prevent a war in Iraq that was ignored. Oftentimes, if you actually looked at what was actually on the news at that time, it was minuscule. It wasn't news. It was a distraction. And that's the stuff that we have to stay vigilant on.
We're going to take quick pictures. Jump in real quick.
Who in this group is on the short list for VP? Are you in the short list for VP?
Oh my God, listen.
You too. Thanks for your help.
The world is not ready for us.
Oh, come on, come on.
They not
We
ready.
got two VP candidates right here.
That was great there. I felt the little bit of the California TMZ leaking in at the end there with that question, but I think it was great, and I think Nina's response was fantastic. So that's
well, it's really, I dream about Nina being in there, and like the part, she talks about actually in part of it, in part of the forum, she talks about, in Parliament, they get up there and they're yelling at each other, and it gets exciting, and I can just see her, as leader of the Senate, at VP sitting up there, president of the Senate, and getting involved in the debate or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it'd be great to, she's going to be there. She's going to be there fighting for everybody. So we didn't really have time to get any type of interview. They were late, and then they were rushing off to a flight. And the kids were really just, they mobbed them. They really wanted to talk more to them and find out more about their story. And so I felt they deserved that, because it was a smaller crowd, and it was kind of intimate, and a chance for them to see these powerful women and talking about this race and how important it is, and how crucial this election is. So that was great. And that was just one of many of the events that were going around town here in California now leading up to the June 7th. So I think his goal is 200,000 people. And I did some rough math over the amount of people he's basically been in front of in California since the beginning of May. His first rally in May is pretty close to 100,000 if you include today's stuff. So he's about halfway there, and 2 weeks to go. So he's going to be getting into in front of a lot of people, and Nina and Tulsi and Rosario. They're going to be out there for Bernie and really pushing his agenda and how important this election is. And of course, the Trump debate, the Bernie versus Trump debate, which he said I was watching the Ventura rally, and he acknowledged it. He says, I want to thank Donald Trump for accepting the debate, and that he's prepared to debate me, and we're going to need a large venue to do it. So he's ready. We're ready, and so that's going to be pretty interesting if that happens. What do you think? Think it's going to happen?
Well, I will touch on that. I just wanted to mention one thing. Is I noticed. I don't know if anybody else noticed during the clip there, but when Nina was talking, Rosario was sitting there just like with the look in her eyes, just like that. It was just so. That's pretty much how I listen to Nina too.
Yeah. He's mesmerizing.
Yeah.
She's mesmerizing, and she knows, and she just knows her shit. It's like Bernie, she knows what she's talking about. It's like some of the clips when she was being confronted about the chair throwing, and she was like, no, that did not happen.
Yeah, and it's that confidence and that assuredness in what she's saying, and knowing that it's what she feels and what she feels, and she's being true to that. And I think that's one of the things that makes her such a powerful person. And with her out there, when Bernie started to have some struggling at some point during the campaign, I started to think, who comes after Bernie? What is there if Bernie somehow for some reason doesn't make it? What comes next? And people like Nina Turner and Tulsi Gabbard also, who we may get a chance to show the clip of. It's folks like them who give me hope that we can keep the progressive movement going, and that we will still have reasonably established figures that will have the connections that they will need to get past the basic thresholds in order to make something like a presidential campaign or other national campaigns possible. And so,
certainly. Well, one of the things that's come up is that all of these women have been attacked by the Clinton campaign and the establishment for stepping outside the box. They're all rebels. They're all radicals. And we need these strong voices. We need these strong women and men and the progressive movement that aren't going to take it anymore. So we're glad they're there.
Absolutely,
for sure.
And so I don't know. Let's go ahead. I guess let's talk about the Trump debate a little bit. We may just push off some of the Bernie bust stuff and just talk about it in the context of some of the congressional district caucus footage I have. We might focus on that. And so let's just go ahead and I do want to get into what's been going on with the Trump versus Bernie debate. So what I've heard most recently, there was, or I'll start with where it started. Trump Bernie submitted the question to Kimmel. Kimmel asked the question of Trump. Trump says yes, says he wants to do it maybe if it's for charity. He says he'd love it otherwise. Bernie responds very promptly on Twitter saying, we're on, look forward to doing it before the 7th, trying to get him locked in to make sure he doesn't try and use it after the California primary or after the convention. And then Trump basically gets asked at a press conference where he's announcing that he's now secured the Republican nomination with some North Dakota delegates. That is he going to do it? Is he serious about it? There was also some reporting about some aides saying that he wasn't serious. So he was asked, was he serious? He says, yes, I'll do it. But he puts the stipulation, about $10 million in charity. I want $10 million to go to charity. And he says women's issues or something like that. And so from there, that's the most recent thing I have. Do you have anything to add to that, or anything that more recent than that?
Well, we found out in the green room we were hearing that Cenk Younger he tweeted that they'll donate $1 million. He'll put $1 million if they do the debate on TYT. So there's that. And we had a comment in the Fuser. It says who moderates the debate will make a difference. So yeah. So there you go. The Young Turks $1 million towards charity. I think I think that's it. That's where we're at basically. It's now, I don't know whose court it's in. Maybe it's in Bernie's court. Obviously, he's not going to get his $10 to $15 million from Bernie. But if I'll tell you this, if they do decide to do it, and Bernie seems to think it's happening based on what he said this afternoon. I mean, if you look at what he was saying at the, he's got another rally tonight in Pomona, but based on what he's saying, he seems like he wants it to happen. Now, is this all part of his, grand strategy? But I think that Clinton really opened the door by canceling that debate. And I think they stepped right through it, because now they have lost all their leverage in holding the debates over Bernie's head if he does something outside of the sanctioned DNC debates. What are they going to do? Not let him debate Hillary again? So, and then he will, like we were saying before when we were talking earlier, she will probably jump right in if they book it, if it's going to happen. Whether it's on Fox or, fine, do it on Fox. It's going to be the viewership is going to be out the door.
From what I gather was essentially that Fox was pretty much the prime candidate when they were looking at a California debate when they were originally negotiating this back when they were negotiating about more debates. So Hillary had committed to this debate. She had said that she was going to do it. She didn't, and like you said, that opened up the door. And when she said she wouldn't, rather than dangle it out in front of Bernie Sanders, saying, "Oh well, if you do X, Y, and Z, then I'll debate you." By outright rejecting the idea of the debate, she opened the door for Bernie to ask Trump to come in, and Bernie played it masterfully by placing the question where Trump was totally not expecting it, and his first reaction to being challenged is always going to be to say, "Yeah, I'd do that. He can't beat me, of course." He knows that.
Yeah, he's not going to back down. He's not going to back down.
Exactly, and so, and in that setting, it catches him off guard. He's not expecting that kind of political question. And so I think it nailed him perfectly, and now it does seem, some people are saying it seems like he's trying to backtrack with the high dollar amount for charity, and basically trying to do the same thing that he did to get out of Fox. I don't think Bernie's going to let him squirm out as easily.
No, he's not going to. He's not going to let it go. I mean, the social media world is not going to let it go either. I mean, there's a new hashtag that's, Donald got scared and Hillary got scared, and and he's not going to put up with that. So it's going to turn. It might turn into a Twitter war. I mean, Donald's taking him seriously because he's pulling out the crazy Bernie. Oh, I love Bernie. Crazy Bernie. Hey, crazy Bernie might be crazy Bernie. And don't forget, we have more information about the emails today. So if this whole thing about Bernie should get out, it would, for no other reason, he has to stay in because of the emails. And now that his numbers he's basically neck and neck with her here in California now, according to the new polls. So, and well, we can segue later into the Bernie or bust, but because of these polls, the nationwide polls with Clinton and Trump, the Bernie or bust movement is growing. So, and you're seeing that the Libertarian is now polling 10 to 12%, if he's put into the polls. So, and that along with over 50%, another poll said over 50% of the population is interested in an independent run. So we have a lot of indicators that say that this ain't over, even if the convention puts it into Hillary's pocket. I read a very interesting, I don't know if you read it, a very interesting article by Nate Silver talking about how really the system isn't rigged for Hillary. It's actually rigged for Bernie because he's been winning in the caucuses and she's been winning in the primaries. And they brought up the Washington primary where she won the beauty vote, apparently. It's at least what the AP is reporting. I don't know if you have any more information about that. But the caucus counts and the primary didn't. So, all of these states, I don't get it. I wish they would just figure out something and just use it because it's really infuriating. He won this, he didn't win this, now he won, now he didn't. Kentucky, apparently, they've conceded Kentucky after the recount. So that's done. But the gadfly is not going away, Mm-hmm. He's from what indicators are, is he's not happy. He's not happy with the way things have been going, and Nevada might have been like the last straw, the way they spun Nevada, and like Nina was talking about, and how it was just, she talks about the gasoline being put on the fire by Barb Boxer walking out, and what she was saying. So I'm all for the Trump debate. I think he's, of course, they still can't find half the money he donated to the vets, so we'll see how.
He's not going to be in charge of handling the money getting to the charity. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to see a women's health group or whatever it is he wants to give the money to. Whatever, I'd like to see something to maybe Planned Parenthood. That'd be interesting. Okay, yeah, we'll take the money.
that would be an interesting way to twist it.
$10 million to Planned Parenthood for the debate.
I think a lot of people were talking about who moderates, and you mentioned it before about who moderates. It makes a difference, and I think that's interesting. And I know the Women's League of Voters used to do debates every once in a while. Like they used to be into these types of things.
Absolutely.
So
yes, you always look for the League of Women Voters to see who to vote for the judges. Yeah, it's like, okay.
That might be an interesting where they could get onto a national channel space, but essentially it be run through them, so that, and then that the money could then go, that they wouldn't have any problem giving up the money, and that the networks would still be able to squeeze their top off after paying out whatever decided to go to charity, because that's going to rake in far more than $10 million, I think, if it's on a national network, without a doubt. And,
oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and TYT putting up 1 million shows, just how much even an independent media channel sees the value in something like that. And so,
that's pretty remarkable. I mean, that's like Bill Maher level of donating right there. It's like, I'm going to write a check for $1 million. That's pretty good, guys. Good for you guys. Independent media, man. This is it. That's what we're trying to do here. Project Sanity and the Progressive Army, Benjamin's trying to do is grow that that what they've created. They're such an inspiration, and to grow independent networks that can get out other opinions other than the corporate media spewing at us every day. I'm lucky to still have corporate media just to check in on my wife every day. She'll swear she's going to cancel it on me. I'm like, no, I have to know what the enemy is thinking.
Just know what the most recent lie or story is.
Yeah, I know. We have to know what we're doing. We have to know what we're up against, guys. I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid. I was at the Santa Monica event, and the line, there were 6,700 people in Santa Monica, 3,000 people in East LA on Monday at noon. So almost 10,000 people on a Monday for Bernie Sanders. And, I was saying to somebody in line, oh, obviously you people haven't heard it's over. And somebody said, it's not over. I'm like, easy. I'm just kidding. I'm being sarcastic. So
you know how to push the buttons.
Yeah, I was pushing the buttons, but it was great. It was funny. I got to the end of the line, and literally, that girl walked up. She said, "Oh, hey, thanks for your streams. I was watching the forum the other day." And I'm like, "Oh, great." So yeah, there's a lot of activity here in Southern California. It's really burning down here. In Lancaster, we were looking at the feed from Lancaster, and that's anybody knows where Palmdale, Lancaster is. It's way outside the valley in the desert. It's way out there in the boonies, and there was quite a turnout out there in Lancaster, in very conservative Lancaster. So there's a lot of action here in California, and he's not stopping. It's there's a whole list of things. There's a Facebook a site just for all of his crowds, how many crowds he's getting, where his events are, and there's a bunch of them coming up all the way through June. So it's just going to get more and more exciting, and if that debate happens, some of the folks talking of, Amy Goodman would be an excellent moderator. How great would that be? That would be fantastic. And yeah, I mean, it would give Donald look, I'm not a coward. I'm going up against Bernie when you didn't, Hillary, so he can claim that. He can crow about that if he does this debate. But it's going to be interesting to see them debate about trade. How are they? Where are their differences?
Yeah.
Does he have any? Does he? I blocked out a lot of the Republican debates, but does he have any policies?
It's there's very few things that he said and hasn't said something that would be determined as the opposite of what he had said previously. So it's really hard to say what his position would be. One of the few things that he's, solid on is the wall. That's about it. Other than that, basically everything else is a negotiating position.
Right. Yeah. Don't you know how things work?
Yeah.
And it's just an idea.
I don't know how well business negotiations will transfer to political negotiations. So far, they seem to be working for him. I don't know if that's because of the nature of the Republican Party, and that business negotiations are just more effective over there in general than they might be on the general public. Or maybe they're just the first example of what we're all in for, where he's able to essentially use car salesmen us into a deal that we're not interested in. At least we thought we weren't when we showed up.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess